Que fechou, Chico.
Quiet on the set. Quiet, please. First positions, please. Rolling action.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Director's Cut. I'm joined here with Catherine.
Hey.
And our skeptical movie critic, John.
Hey.
All right, and today we're going to talk about, well, a movie that's been really talked about and has become a big sensation all over, well, North America mainly, Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal activity is a very common phrase in the English language to mean things that ghosts do or spirits do.
Right. The paranormal. Well, that's the paranormal, right? It's like anything related to ghosts.
Yeah,
Yep.
creepy.
Yeah.
All right, so the movie basically is about some sort of poltergeist that's haunting this house, right? Or, well, this girl.
Exactly. And it's kind of like other movies that have come out, for example, like Cloverfield or even
The
back
Haunting.
the Haunting or the Blair Witch Project. These are all movies that try to look real. So they're done with cheap kind of handy cams, and there's a lot of rough cuts, and the acting seems like it's kind of, well, not acting.
Not
like they're
acting.
actually just saying real things.
Yeah,
Right.
it's that fake documentary type feel as well.
Exactly. And so it's a really scary movie because of this, because it feels like you could be those people and you know you could be experiencing what they're experiencing.
Right.
And I think it's easier to forget that
It's a movie.
it's a movie because it looks like someone really shot it on their own camera.
And it also looks like houses that, you know, you might have been to in the States.
Or you live in.
Or that you live in, because it's just a suburban house.
And actually, I had a more real connection to it as well because my wife introduced me to the movie, and she likes this TV show called The Ghost Hunter.
I've heard of
Have
it.
you heard of this? It's supposed to be real. So these people go to homes and they film. They do a lot of the same things that the guy does in this movie. And those are supposed to be real. I don't know if they really are. But
Yeah.
So it looked a lot like The Ghost Hunter.
Well, that's the thing, right? So the whole paranormal thing about ghosts and, well, as you say, it's very homemade. But how did it differ from the Blair Witch Project? Because back when that came out, it was a big sensation as well. But then many people really hated it after they watched it.
The Blair Witch Project was like maybe the first of its kind. I think the first real movie that they had a whole story for. You know, you go onto the website and the website tells the story of the movie. It doesn't tell the
synopsis or anything.
It's not like a normal website where they say, okay, the director is this person and we
Right,
filmed
right.
it in a studio and blah, blah, blah. It actually tells a fake story. And so I think the problem with the Blair Witch Project is that it was really boring because nothing actually happens.
Yeah,
You
they
know
were
what I mean?
lost in the woods and they were running around and
And then
they're lost.
And then
And then in the end, the camera falls, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So this one was different because you had, well, this girl who apparently has a ghost following her around all the way from her childhood, and her boyfriend is determined to capture on video, and is kind of fascinated in a kind of, I don't know, sick way about what's going on, right?
he doesn't seem to understand that it might be real. I mean, I think most of the movie he's acting like it's just some funny thing that he can play with. He can buy a fancy new camera and whatever. So he's very skeptical, okay? And that's part of the humor because they're a couple, so they're fighting the whole time.
Right, she's very stressed and she's crying over what's going on, and he's just like, we'll film it and we see what's happening. And like,
Whatever.
yeah. So all in all, the movie is, it was interesting because it actually came out 2 years ago, right? This movie is not new, but it's a very low budget independent film. And it was interesting the way that they did this because the website would say demand it in your city. So people would vote, and it was kind of like user based. So people would vote and demand the movie to be played in their local cinema. And then that's how it became like this huge hit.
That's amazing. Well, it did really well. I think
Yeah.
they made tons of money, especially considering they only spent like $10,000 making it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's like democratization of the movie making process, right?
Which is notoriously not very friendly towards outsiders.
Yeah, it was really interesting, the way that this worked. And well, yeah, as you said, it made a lot of money. I think it's around $90 million, and it cost $15,000 to film.
That's incredible.
So that's great. So we have a clip set up. What are we going to listen to?
Well, the couple, the boyfriend and girlfriend, they're concerned about the noises that they keep hearing, okay? And they're having a hard time sleeping. And because they have a little bit of proof now on the video camera that there might be something strange happening, they decide it's time to call in an expert. And so the girl calls in someone who's kind of like a ghost hunter, what John's talking about, his wife's on.
It's kind of like a psychic. Well, not a psychic. What do you call those?
I think she did call him a psychic.
A psychic?
Yeah, he's like a psychic. So he's able to see spirits or to read
Or you
kind of
can
energy.
Feel them.
Right. And so this is his first visit, and he's talking to them about what's going on, and she's telling the story of her haunting, because it's not just happened here, it's happened before too.
All right. So let's listen.
And the boyfriend isn't being terribly respectful.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
he's very skeptical. All right, so let's listen.
So then, from the time you were 8 years old until now, have you experienced this periodically over the ensuing years?
Yes, from 13 on, it's happened periodically. Over the past few weeks, things have started happening again. These lights have been flickering, these ones that are in the ceiling. We've had water from the faucets turn on and off unexplainably.
Okay.
You know, or will come down, not turn on and off, but will come down and it'll be on. You know, the sink will be on, running full blast, and neither one of
Okay.
us. We've heard banging on the walls, scratching sounds, like, you know, like dragging down the wall kind of scratches.
So it's a long scratch as opposed to a little.
Right.
Okay. Most of the activity's in here, isn't it?
Yes, the vast majority of it. I've heard whispering. Sometimes I can't understand it. Sometimes it's saying my name.
Oh, so it specifically calls to your name.
It has before.
Throughout the ages, religious movements have good and bad entities. I mean, in the Christian faith, there's angels and there's demons. Angels being the good ones, and the demons obviously being the bad ones. No matter what the religion is, throughout history, there have been records of this sort of thing happening, regardless of whether you're religious or not. So it is reaching out to you. I don't want you to respond to it. I also need you to know that you can't run from it. You can't run from the house and expect that it's just going to stay here. If you moved from this house, it would follow you wherever you go. So what we need to do is to deal with it here. My area of expertise is dealing with ghosts. That's what I built my career around, helping people get in touch with people who have died, communicating with ghosts, the spirits of dead human beings. A demon is something different. That's an entity that relates to something that is non-human.
Okay.
A lot of debate and a lot of discussion about what that could be, but it's not a person. Okay? Dealing with demons is not my area. I'm very uncomfortable with it, and I'll tell you quite frankly, I sense that there's something going on in this house. I've heard what you've said, but there are feelings that were very strong when we were upstairs in the master bedroom. This entity, whatever it is, does not like the fact that I'm here. So you cannot run from this. It will follow you. It may lay dormant for years. Something may trigger it to become more active, and it will, over time, reach out to communicate with you.
But what about, all right, check this out. What if we just get the switchboard, right, and we find out what it wants, and then we just give it what it wants, and then it's gone?
Because what it probably wants is Katie. And if you do pick up a Ouija board and try to play games with it, the entity will sense that you're trying to communicate with it. And that's opening the door, inviting it in. There has been cases in history where these things do harm to people. Not a lot, but it has happened. And in some cases, albeit rare cases, people have died. I don't tell you this to scare you I tell you this to give you frank information. You need to know this. Do you understand me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I hope so.
All right, so interesting, this whole demon thing. Now, John, do you believe in psychics and demons or in ghosts and what he talked about and all these things?
Not really, but I'm agnostic. So.
Really?
I believe it's possible, but
Well, there was an interesting question that was planted. It's like, well, you know, our bodies are made up of energy, right? And we're made up of atoms and electrons and basically just pure energy, right? That hold our bones together, skin and everything. So when we die, and apart from decomposing, what happens to all this energy that's contained in our bodies, right? Can it actually be that, you know, some sort of weird energy comes out and starts manipulating things around the world, or is it just like too far-fetched?
Personally, I think it's a little bit far-fetched because once our bodies die, we go into the ground and the energy, well,
Becomes food
the
and
organic
soil.
parts decompose and they become energy for, soil and plants, and they grow, and it's a whole cycle. I don't really believe in the whole spiritualism thing, so.
Do you believe like in all these ghost stories or pictures of like ghosts in the background or videos or sounds of doors closing.
I don't
stuff
really
like that?
believe in this stuff, but I do think that science does not have the full picture yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are some things that we can't quite explain. We probably will eventually be able to explain them, but the explanation is not necessarily ghosts.
Right. Like we give them personalities and names and characteristics, and we say, oh, this is the ghost of my great grandfather who's angry and he's, coming back to haunt us.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hokey.
Well, like for example, it's very popular in England. A lot of these old castles to create tours around them because people say that they hear things in the dungeons because so many people died, or that they're spirits, or that at night, they see things, and even workers or guards there say, yeah, I've seen these things. So it's I guess it's kind of like UFOs, right? A lot of people say or claim they've seen them, but did you really see a UFO, or was it just like a hot air balloon? I don't know.
I think it's much more likely that there's life on other planets than there's like
ghosts.
spirits and ghosts here.
Well, I did have one very interesting ghost experience, and it was kind of freaky, and it happened to my family and I. We were sitting at the dining table, and all of a sudden, a glass of water just started to move across the table by itself.
That's crazy.
So it was pretty creepy, I must say. And we were all just, pretty amazed at what we were seeing, and there was no logical explanation behind it. It's not like the table was slanted or it
Was there an
wet.
earthquake?
No, there was nothing. It was weird because not only did it move across the table, but it started to rotate. So it was really strange. We were pretty freaked out.
Did you call in an exorcist?
No.
Where was this?
This was actually in the States. We lived in a house. It was, I don't know, maybe built in the 70s. And, my mom always claimed that something weird was going on because she always felt that she was being looked at, or she always felt somebody running or walking across the hall. But we never really experienced anything, or personally, no one did. And then this happened, and, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like, oh, we got to get this house exorcised or whatever you call it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so there's a story for you, and it actually happened to all of us, so it's kind of weird. We can't really explain it. So maybe it wasn't an earthquake, maybe it was wind, or maybe it was the chill factor on the glass. I don't know.
How bizarre.
All right, so all in all, this movie, apart from being, there's not much blood and gore, would you recommend it?
Definitely. I thought it was legitimately a very scary movie.
Yeah, very scary. Bone
Very
chilling.
scary. Bone chilling.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really interesting too. Like we've had Blair Witch Project, we've had some other similar movies, and it kind of does something a little bit different and new. It's cool.
All right, and I know that you didn't really get scared, but your wife couldn't sleep for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, well,
But it was scarier than I expected, actually.
yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I definitely covered my head with the blanket and refused to watch the parts where they have the night scenes where they're in bed.
Oh, that's good.
So to actually really get the emotions out of it, you should watch it at night with the lights off and the volume up really high, right?
And crack open a window outside because it'll make the doors in your house creak and slam.
Wow. All right. So that will really give you the atmosphere for a scary movie. All right. So if you have any other questions or doubts or any comments about this movie, if you've already watched it, you can come to our website, englishpod.com. And thank you, John and Catherine.
Thanks.
All right,
See
thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye.